swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast. It is episode 33 of season number 4. Crawley, the comeback Cubs do it again. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review the podcast. Follow on all our socials. I'm at Mullion Haw on X.
And you can find me at Crawley's Cubs on Twitter, Blue Sky and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And you can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Dustin, you know, I'm sure you have multiple text strands with your Cubs fans, friends. And I got, my brother and my buddy Bleacher Jerry were on a strand, and they gave me some beef about not picking the Cubs to take the series in Cincinnati. I said, if you recall in the last episode, I said I thought that Cincinnati would take 2 out of 3. Why? I looked at the starting pitching matchups. I didn't like them. I didn't like how some of our starting pitchers, pitched in Cincinnati. I didn't like how some of Reds hitters hit against our starters in Cincinnati. And all I can tell you is that I don't regret making my prediction. It's just sometimes, teams are special, and this team kind of has some of that magic dust on them. You take a look at how this series was. There's no way the Cubs should have taken 2 out of 3.
Not a chance. They could have easily been swept. They had to come from behind in 2 of the games that they actually won. So let's get right into it, Crawley. We'll rewind to Friday night. This was the game that we were kind of anticipating to be a little bit of a pitcher's duel, right? Matt Boyd versus Hunter Green.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Hunter Green, you saw it. He's a really good pitcher. He was just coming off the IL. And, unfortunately, no one gave Matt the memo that it was going to be a pitching duel. He had one of his worst starts as the Cubs. Boyd gave up a leadoff double to TJ Friedl to lead off the game. Gives up 3 singles in a row, another double, and a walk. It wasn't until the 7th Reds hitter that Boyd got Jose Trevino to pop out for the first out of the inning. Luckily, the next batter, Connor Joe, grounded in a double play to end the threat. But it was just an awful start for Boyd. Just a bad way to start the game.
Yeah,
right?
really tough way to go.
Then in the 3rd inning, he gave up a leadoff triple to Austin Hayes, and he threw a wild pitch. Could have been a wild pitch. Could have been a pass ball, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. That allowed Hayes to score, and the Cubs were down 4-0. Now, at least Boyd would grind it out for 4 innings. It didn't look like he was going to get out of it, but he gave up 4 runs on 8 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and a wild pitch. It took him 93 pitches to get through those 4 innings. And again, there's going to be days where, Matt Boyd has been wonderful this season. This just wasn't his game.
Wasn't his day. And, but like you said, I mean, he did fight through it, and, let's get him next time out, right, for him?
Yeah, and I'm going to be at that game that he's pitching next time out, so I'm really, really hoping that.
Which one is that? Is that the
that's
Wednesday?
Going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday's game? Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday. So when I looked at that, I was kind of saying to myself, okay, let's just hope he gets the bad one out of the day. On the flip side, Hunter Green was mowing down the Cubs and making it look easy in his first game back from the IL. First time through the order, the only Cubs to get a hit was Nico Horner with a 3rd inning double. But then he ran into some trouble in the 4th inning. With 1 out, Sid doubles, and then PCA hit his 13th homer to cut the Reds' lead to 4-2. After Carson Kelly ground out, Michael Busch and Dansby Swanson drew back-to-back walks. So you can kind of see he kind of hit a wall. It was so easy that first time.
He was struggling then, right? Mm-hmm.
Now, and then Nico Horner, though, popped out to end the threat. But if you're just looking at the box score, you see, okay, Nico popped out, 2 runners on, whatever. But what wouldn't have registered is that in that at-bat that he popped out, it was a 12-pitch at-bat. And Green was throwing everything but the kitchen sink to try and get Nico out. He couldn't do it. He threw 37 pitches in the 4th inning, a third of those to Nico, and his pitch count in that inning climbed to 83, and you knocked him out of the game, and that was huge.
Huge. Getting to that Reds bullpen.
Yes, sir. Now we talk about we got to talk about the bottom of the fifth. The Cubs are down 2 runs. Green is out of the game. We know 2 runs is nothing in that ballpark, right? Against there. And so Craig Counsell brings in Julian Merriweather out of the pen. And Dustin, I didn't disagree with that call, right? To me, it was the perfect spot. It was a close game. Still plenty of time to come back to see what Julian could do. He comes in, gives up a leadoff single and a double that scores a run. He gets the first batter out on a spectacular defensive play by Matt Shaw. Walks the next batter, gets a fly out for the second out, gives up a single to TJ Friedel, gives up another run, runners at the corner. Counsell gives him the hook. So just 2/3 of an inning for Merriweather. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, no K. We're going to talk about him in segment 2, but that was most likely the last inning he'll pitch for the Cubs.
Yeah, not a way to go out. Definitely did not meet the moment.
Now, we talked about Nico's 12-pitch at bat that knocked Green out of the game, but in the 7th, he makes another heads-up play that changes the outcome of this game. Top of the 7th, 1 out. Cubs down 6-2. Nico hits a single. What's new, right? Matt Shaw comes up, and he hits a chopper to second baseman Matt McLean. McLean decides to tag Nico rather than throw it to the shortstop. Nico kind of takes a step onto the grass, contorts his body, Javi style, and avoids the tag. Now, Terry Francona comes out to argue that he was out of the base path. The ump says, no, it's not reviewable. You know, again, another one that's a really close play. Either way, you could call that one. But it changes everything. Instead of a runner on first with 2 outs, there are 2 on with 1 out. Ian Happ would single to load the bases, and Kyle Tucker would single to drive in 2 to make it a 6-4 game. Sayer would single to load the bases once again for Pete Crow Armstrong. First pitch he sees, Dustin, he hammers. Now, no doubt it was gone. It had the distance. It's just a question of fair or foul. And Marquis did a great job of capturing this moment. Pete is standing at home plate, right? No doubt it's gone. He doesn't need to run. This ball's gone. It's just fair or foul. And he's eyeballing this thing, and it wasn't a complete Pudge Rodriguez Game 6 of the World Series, but he's definitely given it some body language to try to get it
a little lean, right? A little lean, and when he signals home run, he turns and screams at the dugout, grand slam. Just like that, the Cubs are up 8-6. Sayer would add some insurance run in the 8th with a 3-run homer, and Dansby would put the nail in the coffin in the 9th with a 2-run blast. Cubs come back and stun the Reds 13-6, Dustin. Yeah, unbelievable comeback. I mean, I got very frustrated with this game. I was on with it. I was off with it. Following on social media. This one really upset me, but it ended in a good way.
Right. The Cubs offense scored 13 runs on 3 hits, 4 home runs, 2 for PCA, 1 for Seiya and Dansby. PCA was 3 for 5 with 6 RBIs. Seiya 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs, and Nico was 3 for 5. And Kyle Tucker was only 1 for 5, Dustin, but his hit was a key one because it was with the bases loaded. And I feel like even if he doesn't have a good game, he gets the hits when they count.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was a key hit, right? I mean, that was clutch.
Right. And so with PCA, that was his 4th career multi-homer game, including his 1st career grand slam. He ties a career high with 6 RBIs. Like I said, to me, we're watching a superstar in the making. And I'm trying to think, when you think about PCA, 3 letters, does MVP start to come in here? How about, let's go this way, Dustin. Let's
get a player of the month, right? Right. I mean, the month of May, if he's not the National League Player of the Month, I don't know who is, right?
Well, we're not far. We're 6 weeks away from the All-Star game. If right now, would you say he's the starter for the National League?
I would sure hope so. I mean, right? I mean, absolutely.
I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, I'm just trying to think who else could it possibly be, right? Like who else would you see as being the one that's going to that would take that spot? I don't know anyone else that would, in my opinion.
No, the fans obviously will have their say, and he's been doing enough electric stuff on the field that he's got the national attention. There's no doubt about that.
That's the thing. He is getting the national attention. I'm looking at it right now and I'm saying to myself, this guy, as it stands right now, to me, he's the best center fielder definitely in MLB, right?
Oh, Yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, definitely in the National League, and MLB's got to be up there. But when we talk about 10 runs, Dustin, that was the Cubs' 11th game with 10 plus runs, the most such performances in the first 51 games since 1898 when they had 11 as well. That's from Sarah Lang, Slings on Sports. But I mean, this is just,
she does some really good stuff. If you're not following her, you're
yeah,
definitely missing out.
She's easily one of the best follows on social media. And, I'm just so impressed with what this team has been able to do and the way that they've performed. You just want to see them keep going.
Well, they kept going on Saturday afternoon. Colin Ray took the ball Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and again, not a great start. We were talking about on the last time our hot versus not list. And I remember you saying one of the last things we said before our predictions, you said, don't let Ellie De La Cruz get hot because he was on the not list, right?
They threw him way too many pitches, driving me nuts how many balls that he saw. Because you just feel like he's the one guy that can beat you. Even though, right, he came into this thing not doing great. But yeah, that bugged the heck out of me.
Yeah, he, first inning, Colin Ray, to me, Colin was nibbling a lot. And that's always kind of been his problem, is kind of nibbling at the zones. And I felt like that's what he did. He walked Santiago Espinal, and then the second hitter of the game, and then Ellie De La Cruz homered to make it a 2-0 game. The Cubs in the third inning, they would end up getting a run on Justin Turner. How about this? A Justin Turner home run, Dustin. I'm going to give you a little fun fact here. Justin Turner became the oldest Cub to hit a home run in a game. 40 years, 182 days since who? I'm going to give you the year, 1999. Who was the oldest? That was the last oldest player for the Cubs to hit a home run, 1999. Who was the old guy that hit the home run in 1999? He was very important in 1998 in the playoff run, and then they gave him a big contract. You got it?
Give it to me, Carly. I don't have it. I was thinking Gary Gaetti, but that's way before that.
No, Gary Gaetti is 100% correct.
That was the answer? I don't remember them giving him a big contract.
Yes, and so he was really, really good in 1998. Came out of nowhere. He was a key part of that wild card run that they had that year. Kerry Wood threw 20 Ks and Sammy with the 66 home runs. But yeah, they gave him a contract that definitely wasn't worth it for a guy that you knew was probably on the back end of his career. But that was, yeah.
Oh, I just didn't remember them giving him the contract. I thought that was the guy, but it made sense with the age thing. But okay.
Yeah, and so Gary Gaetti was 41 years, 6 days old. So that was a little fun fact for you on that about the rat Gary Gaetti.
The rat, yeah.
But then in the fifth inning, it all falls apart for Colin Ray, unfortunately. He just ended up Ellie De La Cruz again, right? He just had a lot of problems. He gave up a single to TJ Friedel. Then there was a throwing error by Ray on a pickoff attempt, a bunt single, a wild pitch. So you got an error on Ray, a wild pitch by Ray, and then Ellie De La Cruz singled. He drove in a run there on that. TJ Friedel, Santiago Espinal both score. It's 5-1. And then for Spencer Steer would single to score run number 6, Dustin. And so for Colin Ray, 5 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks. That 3 walks, way more than he usually does. And obviously 6 earned runs. But with the bad start by Matthew Boyd the day before, you had to keep Colin Ray even though just to try to get some innings after. You couldn't have 2 guys going out after 4 innings.
Right. He had to wear it a little bit, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
He had to wear it. And so it was interesting because, again, you can't give up on this Cubs team. And they started to creep all of a sudden a little bit back. In the 7th inning, they kind of get back on the board, right? They get Ian Happ grounded out after when they had runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And so that drove in a run to make it 6-2. And then in the top of the 8th, PCA with the sac fly to make it 6-3. That takes us to the 9th. Carson Kelly with his 9th home run, Dustin. He's almost to that 10 mark to make it 6-4. Michael Busch struck out. Matt Shaw doubled. Ian Happ struck out. And then Kyle Tucker flied out to end the game. But once again, you had the tying run at the plate with Kyle Tucker up. Again, you can't give up. You have to go all 27 outs against this team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what got me ticked off about what they did with the Reds' best, power hitter. They work him a little bit more carefully. They might have had another comeback, right?
It could have happened, and you never know. But that takes us, Dustin, to the finale. That is going to be yesterday, Sunday.
Yes.
And you saying to yourself, all right, win this one and you get out of it. But I was nervous with the Ben Brown start. He's had his struggles as of late, and it didn't change here. Kyle Tucker had a walk, say a single, and then PCA once again, singles driving, 2 runs. Cubs are up early. Ben Brown comes out. What does he do? He walks the first 2 guys after he got a 2-0 lead. They get Ellie De La Cruz out, but Austin Hayes singled to make it a 2-1 game. Jose Trevino's would add a single to tie it up. Will Benson singles, wild pitch by Brown makes it 4-2. And it just wasn't the start you were looking for from Ben Brown in a game where, once again, you knew you needed innings.
Yeah, you needed innings. He did have a stretch, right? Did he go 10 or 12 straight Reds? He sat down kind of in the middle of that start yesterday.
It was almost a duplicate start of what happened in Miami. Bad first inning, then 3 really good innings, and then another bad inning.
Right. That's why I see him at the back end of this bullpen at some point. I really do. He's got the swing and miss stuff, obviously, but he doesn't seem to be able to put it together for 4 or 5 innings straight.
Now, we had some bad news, and we'll talk about it more in segment 2. Besides the loss on Saturday, we also lost Miguel Amaya with, oblique, which, my God, how many oblique injuries are we
Yeah, I was
seeing
going to say that's becoming a thing for the Cubs, the obliques.
Right, but Reese McGuire was called up. And, he was a non-roster invitee to spring training. And his first at-bat for the Cubs, he hits a solo home run to make it 4-3. But as we talked about, the wheels fall apart for Ben Brown in the 5th. Gave up 2 singles, got a strikeout. Ellie De La Cruz again with a single to make it 5-3. Austin Hayes tripled 7-3 before Jose Trevino would double to make it 8-3. And so you're saying to yourself,
no shot, right?
No shot.
No way.
And just another disappointing outing for Ben Brown. 4.1 innings pitched. He gave up 8 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks. He didn't give up any homers. So, last time he had trouble with the home run ball. But, this time around, again, just not the start. And like you said, eventually showed is going to be back. And if he's going to continue to go, this has been a rough stretch for him. If he's going to continue to go 4 innings and give up 6 or 7 runs every time out, that's you are going to have to ask yourself, if you continue to see Cade Horton pitch well, do you want to take him out and keep Ben Brown in? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think the answer is no. I think the answer is absolutely not.
Well, the Cubs start making their comeback in the 6th, back-to-back walks for Nico and Michael Busch. But then with 2 outs, a wild pitch, and Nico would score. Michael Busch would move to 3rd. So 8-4. Thanks for the free run, Cincy. No problem. Then we get to the 7th inning, and this is where it gets interesting. It's a 2-out rally. Tansby singles, PCA singles. Nico Horner with a double. He had a great weekend. Cuts the lead to 8-6. Now you're saying to yourself, here we go. Michael Busch singles. It's now a 1-run game, 8-7. That will take us to the 8th inning, and that's when the Cubs make their move. Reese McGuire ties it. His 2nd home run of the game, Dustin.
Unbelievable. An unbelievable story, Crawley. An absolutely unbelievable story.
When we talk about Reese McGuire, he was the 3rd person to hit 2 home runs in his Cubs debut in franchise history since 1901. The last guy to do it, Jim Marshall in 1958, Earl Webb in 1927. Just my God, Dustin. This is the thing when you have these special teams, these special years, you have guys like Gary Gaetti or, McGuire, guys like this that you may not remember 10 or 20 years from now, but guys that contribute, and it's always a different hero, a different day. That's what's making this team so much fun. You don't know what to expect day in and day out from this team. So after the home run, Happ walks, Tucker singles, and then Seiya Suzuki, as our friend Alex Cohen likes to say, Seiya says see ya. 11-8, a 3-run blast.
3-run homer. Got to that bullpen again.
And absolutely, it's an 11-8 game, and the Cubs win this one. But Dustin, when I look at, like I said, this weekend, and like you said, there was a much better shot that the Cubs get swept than win the game. And somehow they turn it around and they take 2 out of 3. And so
it was
that to
fantastic.
me,
It was, I'm so glad that I did stick with it, didn't leave it completely. And they were able to make the comeback. It was sweet. It was really sweet.
I would just say one thing. If you have not been to a Cubs game this year, I got a feeling that prices are going to start going up. You're going to want to get to the friendly confines because there's magic happening at 1060 West Addison. And you want to quote the Cubs phrase for this year, be here for it. You want to be here for it.
Be here for it. Well, right now you are listening to the Fly the W podcast. It's season 4. It's episode 33. The Comeback Kids do it again. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can email us at Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And don't forget, as some of you are doing right now, watch us on Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crawley, this is our news and notes segment. But after taking 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, how do the Cubs stack up on Memorial Day?
They are in first place. We're a couple hours before game time, 32-21. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Unfortunately, I thought, I was wondering if these Cardinals are for real or not. And they're at second place, 30-23, 2 games back. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They're 7-3.
Not going away. Can't put any distance between yourselves. No.
But Dustin, you talked about this on the last episode. You had a chance to kind of put some distance between yourselves and the Reds, and they were able to do that. The Reds are in third place now, 2 games under 500, 4.5 games back. And that's where the Brewers find themselves as well, with Pittsburgh 13.5 back. So it was good that the Cubs were able to cool off the Reds. And like you said, put a little distance between these guys.
Absolutely. That's what you're looking to do. So that's the standing. So that's good. That's good news on Memorial Day that's where they're at. And we teased it a little bit earlier, but after the Friday night game, Julian Merriweather had that meltdown. He was DFA'd.
Yeah. And you know what, Dustin, it was time. It was at a point in time where he was such an integral part of the Cubs bullpen in 2023. You're saying to yourself, okay, what can he do? And we just wanted him to get healthy, right? That was the key thing. Can you get healthy? Can you do something? And unfortunately, he hadn't. For the month of May, Merriweather appeared in 9 games, giving up 9 runs on 13 hits with a 10.57 ERA. And he's supposed to be a strikeout pitcher, but he only struck out 5 and walked 5. I don't know if it was an injury. I don't know what the deal was, but here was the problem, is that he was out of options, right? And so you couldn't send him down to the minors. So either he was injured, which apparently he wasn't, or you had to DFA him because you couldn't keep him going. And so the Cubs did make this roster move before a couple different moves. We had the game before the game on Saturday. Before the game on Friday, actually Saturday, or the other way. Sorry. So when they DFA Julian Merriweather, they selected Brooks Kriske from AAA Iowa, and he did appear in the game on Saturday. But Dustin, I'm just wondering, who did Luke Little make mad? I mean, I'm looking at his numbers in AAA. He just has not gotten a sniff since he had that bad outing.
Not a sniff. The name hasn't been brought up, right? Nothing.
And then the other roster move that we ended up seeing was what we talked about, Reese McGuire, Miguel Amaya out 10 days. And Dustin, when you just think about the guys with oblique injuries and the ones that, to me, Ian Happ hasn't been the same since he's been back.
Nope.
He's been struggling. And
I'm
just
surprised he didn't DH one of the days. I am.
And how about Carson Kelly not in the lineup today for today's lineup? Like, you got to wonder what's going on there.
So he's got an illness supposedly, right? Not an injury, but an illness.
Right. He's got some sort of illness. And I'm struggling with this idea that right now this team, to me, is it's beat up, but somehow they keep finding a way. And I thought it was interesting. They didn't call up Moises Ballesteros.
They clearly don't want him catching, right? They clearly don't want him behind the plate.
Right. They don't want him behind the plate.
He doesn't really have a position except for DH.
Right. And so, hopefully, I know they might try him a little bit at first, but he's not a real tall guy. Yep. They've tried him at first before, but I don't know. Just to follow up on that story we talked about last time, the Cubs are saying that they have not been awarded the All-Star game, but they're not going to say either way, right?
No, they clearly don't want him catching, right? They clearly don't want him behind the plate.
Right. And so, hopefully, I know they might try him a little bit at first, but he's not a real tall guy. They've tried him at first before, but I don't know. Just to follow up on that story we talked about last time, the Cubs are saying that they have not been awarded the All-Star game, but they're not going to say either way, right?
Right. They're not going to make an official announcement. That's baseball's announcement to make. So we'll keep our eye on that. But I'll stand by Bruce Levine's reporting.
I know Bruce is. I mean, and again, what we know is we've always known that once the Cubs dealt with the security issues, that's what baseball wanted. So there's no doubt in my mind that that was going to happen. But when I'm looking at the All-Star game, I'm still trying to kick around, Dustin, and I don't know if you, again, home run derby or All-Star game, if you had to choose one, because if you don't have full season tickets, my guess is that the Cubs are going to make you choose one if you got like one of those different packages. And so I would say, to me, I think I'm kind of feeling home run derby.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm down there that much, I feel like it'd be kind of cool to do home run derby, like out with the Ball Hawks. I know it's going to be packed. I know it's going to be crazy. There's no doubt about that. My point is, so like I would say the game, honestly, because you figure you're going to have a couple of Cubs in that game, right? So I would go All-Star game versus home run derby.
The way I look at it, and I've heard you guys talk about this on Mully and Haw a ton, is that I don't think is there any good professional All-Star game?
Not really. I mean, baseball is the best one if there is. If you're, but again, it's a low bar.
And not only that, it's just pitchers are so good. If you only have to see them 1 or 2 innings and they can add a couple miles per hour because they know they don't have to go 5 or 6 innings, to me, it's just not as exciting. The home run derby to me is where the excitement lies. But Dustin, we do have some movement in the power rankings. We got some movement in the power rankings. The Twins are down to number 9. Their losing streak is over, or their winning streak's over, and so they're a little bit of a bump. How about the Padres? They have tumbled. They were number 4 last week. They're all the way down to number 9 now. So they're in some trouble when you're watching the Padres. The Mariners moved up from 10 to 8. The Giants moved up from 8 to 7, and the Mets dropped from 3 to 6.
Yeah. And the Mets just took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers.
Now the Cubs were 7. They are number 5. So they got them ahead of the Mets, which again, think of all the injuries to the staff, to everybody, and just where they are. But right now, here's what they had to say. PCA is currently on pace for 44 home runs, 143 RBIs, 44 stolen bases. I mean, that's why I said
Those
earlier,
are pretty sick numbers.
You're talking MVP territory, right?
Right. Those are pretty sick numbers. Yes.
Yankees move up to 4. The Tigers fell from 2 to 3. The Dodgers were moved down to number 2. Your number 1 team in baseball, the Phillies, previously 6. They moved 5 spots, which I was impressed with.
And they're pretty solid. I mean, they're good. They're a good baseball team. The Cubs are going to see them not too long from now.
Yes, and we did get and one of our emailers had a message for you, Dustin. He said, this is from Larry Backus. He said, I'm at the Great American Ballpark and flying the W. I don't think I've seen as many foul balls as there were in the game tonight. Does anyone keep a stat on that? I'm sure someone has it, right?
Yeah.
But he wrote this before Julian Merriweather was DFA'd. He said, Dustin, I'm ready for you to dub Julian Merriweather Julian Stormy Weather. So thank you for the email, Larry Bacchus.
All right. I'll try to use that on the Mully and Haw show soon as tomorrow, maybe. Yeah. Soon as tomorrow. That's good. Thank you for the email. We need more of those. Need more emails. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It is episode 33, Crowley. It's season number 4. And those comeback kids, Crowley, they did it again.
Yes, sir. And now, hopefully, you don't need any comebacks against the Rockies.
Not with the Rockies, right? Now, this is one where you want to put the foot on the throat, right? The Rockies come in here, Crowley. They are sitting at 9 wins. 9. They only have 9 wins in the whole year.
Yeah, when we look at this, you're wondering what this team is doing. Last year, the Rockies finished the season in last place in the National League West, 61 and 101. It's their 6th straight losing season, Dustin, dating back to 2019. And they're second with over 100 losses. So when you look at that, you just got to ask yourself, man, last year the Cubs took the season series 4 games to 2. And honestly, Dustin, for me, when you look at it, okay, you lost 100 games. What did you do? They did nothing. They signed a couple utility infielders and a AAA first baseman, and they re-signed catcher Jacob Stallings. I mean, I just don't know how you could sit there and say, the guys they lost, Charlie Blackmon, Brandon Rogers, Cal Quantrell, who we've talked about, but they literally have like Keston Hira. You remember him from the Brewers? He's their first baseman. That was like one of their big gets. Thairo Estrada and Kyle Farmer. But again, none of these are really blow your mind kind of signings. And so this year, like you said, they are absolutely one of the White Sox were last year the worst team in baseball. But you have to ask yourself, are the Rockies going to break that record at 9-44? 9-44, like you said, to win only 9 games, and we are about done with May. We're going into our last week of May. I mean, they are just loss after loss after loss. They just can't win at all. I don't know if I've seen a worse team in my life as far as, it's difficult to look at that. I don't think they've won a series.
And you wonder like how they could possibly get out of it, right? They signed Chris Bryant to that huge contract. He's obviously dealt with all kinds of injuries and things like that. So I just don't see how they have anything to look forward to moving forward.
No, they really don't. And so, Dustin, we talked about quality starts, and quality starts, they don't factor in how bad a team is. If somebody goes 6 innings and gives up 3 runs against the Rockies, I don't consider that a quality start.
Nope.
Just because of the quality of the team that you're playing. That to me is again, you can't factor it in just because it's so arbitrary. You can't put numbers to that. But I'm just looking at this being like, there's no way that when you look at this team, after the games that we had in Cincinnati with guys not able to get out of the 5th inning, that bullpen, Dustin, is beat up. You got to get guys that can give you some length out of here. And this is the time to do it.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Yep. Totally agree. Absolutely. So the Rockies are in here, and let's go through a little tail of the tape, Crawley.
So Dustin, I don't think we have any questions here on which is the better team. Batting average, the Cubs are the best in baseball, 264 after that weekend set in Cincinnati. The Rockies have the worst batting average in baseball at 220. Slug, the Cubs are second in baseball at 459. The Rockies are 27th with 361 slug. Runners in scoring position, the Cubs are 304, second in baseball, while the Rockies are 214, 27th in baseball. Starting pitcher ERA, the Cubs are 20th, and that's gone down. For a long time, Dustin, they were in the top 10 for a little bit, hovering around 10, 11. Now they're 20th at 411, and that's an issue. The Rockies are 30th in baseball at 681. Reliever whip, the Cubs are still at 20th at 136, while the Rockies are 26 at 150. And then defensive runs saved.
This is really bad.
The Cubs are 10th in baseball with 16 defensive runs saved, while the Rockies are last in baseball, negative 34 runs. So their defense has cost them 34 runs. So the Cubs have better hitting, better pitching, and better fielding. There's no reason not to put a whooping on this team.
No reason at all, Crawley. A whooping is what everybody's expecting, everybody's hoping for, and it starts this afternoon on Memorial Day. Jamison Tyone taking the ball.
Jamison 3-3 with a 4.13 ERA and 10 games started with 44 strikeouts and 56 2/3 innings pitch. Jamison is coming off back-to-back quality starts after facing Miami twice in a row. May 14th, he gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in 6 innings, but 3 of those 4 hits were solo home runs. In his next start on May 20th in Miami, he pitched 7 innings and gave up 1 run on 4 hits, a solo home run. J-Mo had given up 9 home runs in his last 4 starts in May, so the long ball's been an issue. One thing, though, that Jamison talked about in his last start that you want to keep an eye on today was the increased use of his changeup, especially on 2-strike counts against lefties. So keep an eye out on that when he's pitching against lefties. Tyone is 3-1 lifetime against the Rockies in 5 starts with a 2.03 ERA. Brenton Doyle is 0-for-6 against J-Mo, but he needs to pitch carefully against Ezekiel Tovar. He's 3-for-9. And Ryan McMahon, who's already in trade talks, is 4-for-12 against him.
And for the Rockies?
Yep, you got Carson Palmquist. He's a 24-year-old lefty who recently made his debut for the Rockies. He was the Rockies' third-round draft pick in 2022. Palmquist has made 2 starts, and both of them did not go very well. In his debut on May 16th against the D-backs, he gave up 5 runs on 6 hits in 4 innings. Went even worse in his second start against that number 1 ranked Phillies team on May 21st. He gave up 6 runs on 10 hits, 4 walks, 2 Ks. Palmquist has never faced the Cubs at the major league level. Nobody's seen him as far as the Cubs hitter. But Palmquist throws a sweeper, a 4-seamer, and a sinker, but none of them are particularly effective.
All right, game number 2. This will be Tuesday night. Cade Horton, who we talked about earlier, making the return to Wrigley.
Yep, Cade is 2-0 with a 4.40 ERA in 3 games. 2 of those starts with 10 strikeouts and 14 in the third innings pitch. He made his first start against the White Sox on May 16th, giving up 3 runs, all to Miguel Vargas in 5 innings of work. In his last start against the Marlins, he was able to make it into the 7th inning, Dustin. He went 6 1/3, gave up 1 run on 6 hits and 3 walks and 3 Ks. Cade had not walked anyone in his previous 2 appearances, so kind of keep an eye on that, just to see what's happening. Cade is still throwing that 4-seamer with a sweeper and an occasional curveball and changeup.
And for the Rockies,
German Marquez is 1-7 with the 7.66 ERA and 10 games started with 26 strikeouts and 47 innings pitched. German got off to a brutal start to the season, Distin. In April, he was 0 for 5 with a 12.81 ERA, but he only gave up 2 home runs. He's doing much better in May. He's 1-2 with a 5.06 ERA, so he's more than cut his ERA in half. He's had 2 really good starts and 1 awful one in his last 3 appearances. On May 11th, he gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 7th innings against the Padres. He got rocked in his next start, giving up 7 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits in 3 innings against the D-backs. And in his last start, he gave up 2 runs, only 1 earned in 7 innings against a good Phillies team. German is 1-3 against the Cubs with a 6.75 ERA and 8 games started. And he's 0-2 with a 7.85 ERA at Wrigley, where this is being played. A few Cubs have some good numbers against Marquez. Ian Happ is 4 for 10, so hopefully that gets Ian off the schneid. Dansby's 4 for 7 with a double, a triple, and a home run. Carson Kelly might want to take the day off. He's 0 for 8, so maybe he's still sick off Marquez. German throws a...
That's the real reason, huh?
Right. German throws a 4-seamer, a sinker, a curve, and a slider, but everything he's throwing is getting hit hard. So, just another opportunity for the Cubs.
All we want is more opportunities, Crawley. Take advantage of these opportunities. So we move into the third game, and this is when hopefully Matt Boyd can get back in the going in the right direction, right?
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, we're switching from the 6:40 night games to the 7:05 starts. So that's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So once school gets out, they usually switch it up. So it's a 7:05 start for both of these here. Matt Boyd 4-2 with the 3. I'll be at this game, so Matt Boyd better do good. He's 4-2 with the 3.42 ERA and 10 games started with 56 strikeouts and 55 in the third innings. He was coming off back-to-back quality starts before struggling in Cincy. He gave up 2 runs on 6 hits versus the Mets on May 11th. On May 17th, he had the Dustin Rhodes quality start, giving up 3 runs in 6 innings on 4 hits against the White Sox. We talked about it in segment 1. Boyd struggled in Cincy, gave up 4 runs on 8 hits in 4 innings, but got the no decision thanks to that offense. Boyd has never faced the Rockies in his career. How about that? But after the game on Wednesday, he will have faced all 30 teams. Only 4 Rockies have seen Boyd, but the only one with more than 3 at-bats is Kyle Farmer, who is 4 for 7 against him. So Boyd's going to have to be careful with Kyle Farmer.
All right, well, be careful with him then, right? I mean, be smart, pitch around him. Now, what do the Cubs have going against them in the third game?
Tanner Gordon is a 27-year-old righty who's in his second big league season. He's 1-1 with a 4.38 ERA in 2 games started and 9 strikeouts in 12 in the third innings. But in the last 2 years, he's kind of been on the Albuquerque shuffle between the shuttle between Colorado and New Mexico. That's their AAA affiliate, obviously. But he made his first start on May 8th against Detroit. He gave up 7 runs, 4 earned on 9 hits and 6 in the third innings. He was sent back to the minors. Called back up on May 23rd against the Yankees. He pitched much better. He gave up 2 runs on 5 hits and 6 innings of work. Tanner has never faced the Cubs, and none of the Cubs hitters have seen him. He's thrown his fastball 50% of the time, and then he throws a changeup 25 and a curveball 25. None of the pitches are super impressive, and teams make loud contact against him. But again, we don't know him that much, and neither do the Cubs hitters.
All right, let's get into the hot and the not.
A little trip for the Iowa shuttle was good for Matt Shaw. He's 5 for his last 11 with 3 doubles, 2 RBIs, slashing 455, 500, 727. What I like, Dustin, 1 strikeout and 1 walk in the last 11 at bats.
Yeah, that's important.
For Kyle Tucker, 9 for his last 23, the homer, 2 home runs, and 2 RBIs. He's slashing 391, 500, 739. And then how about Nico Horner, 9 for his last 24 with 3 doubles, 5 RBIs, slashing 375, 444, 500. But Dustin, when you look at the Cubs offense, Matt Shaw hitting 455 in the last week. Kyle Tucker, 391. Nico, 375. Dansby, 375. PCA's hitting 357. I mean, he's all the way down on the list, but he doesn't have a home run in 9 RBIs.
Dansby's having his probably best offensive year so far as a Cub.
Yeah, and Seiya Suzuki, I mean, he's hitting 348 with a home run and 8 RBIs. So everybody's hitting really well. Nobody in their everyday lineup, is hitting below 286 except for Ian Happ, 1 for his last 10 with 4 strikeouts.
How long do you let that go until you might have to move him in the order?
Not sure. It's been going on now for a little while, and so I don't know. I would say I'm concerned, but obliques are hard. That's the thing. They're hard to come back from, right?
Yep.
And you don't know
anybody.
if he's 100%.
Yeah, we don't know what's up with them, right? That's the bottom line. And is there anybody actually hot for the Rockies?
For the Rockies, actually, there is someone hot here, Dustin. When we look at the Rockies, Ezekiel Tovar is 8 for his last 21. He's slashing 381, 455, 476. You got Brenton Doyle. He's 6 for his last 18, slashing 335, 478, 556. I told you about Ryan McMahon. He's 5 for his last 16, but he's got 4 RBIs. But Dustin, in the last week, they've only hit 2 home runs. One of them was former Cub Nick Martini, and the other is a guy on the cold list, Mickey Moniak. So this is not a team you have to really worry about hitting home runs. So don't be nibbling here, right? Go after these guys.
Right down the middle. Go after them. Smart pitching. No walks. All right, prediction time, Crawley. It is prediction time. I will go first. I'm calling for the sweep.
And just because everybody's going to be wondering what I'm going to say after last time, I am going to also go with the sweep. This is
attaboy. Attaboy. Way to get on board, Crawley.
This is a team that you wonder, as far as Colorado is concerned, like would they even be better than some AAA teams?
Wow.
I mean, that's how bad this team is right now.
All right, Crawley, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. You got any questions you want answered? We heard from an emailer. We gave you the answer. Email us at Crowley's Clubhouse, gmail.com, and you can watch us by subscribing to Crowley's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Crawley, enjoy what's left of the Memorial Day, and we will get back together midweek.
Absolutely. And again, try to get down to Wrigley. The weather's going to be improving. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this should be a good time against a bad team. Go Cubs!
It's all over.